Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. And if you are new, welcome. And if you would consider hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Okay, you guys, so here's what I thought. I thought I would put all of the tips and tricks that I have seen, used, and have worked on me through the years all into one video. That way, if you ever had to reference it, it would all just be right here, and you didn't have to go search for that video that you thought you saw it in. Also, I am looking for tips and tricks that you guys have learned and used through the years that work for you and put them down in the comments below. That way we can all learn from each other. Okay, you guys, why don't you go grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and we're just going to hop right into this. Okay, so there are a lot of tips to go through, so we're going to get started right away. And of course, my first tip is to always prepare your skin for your makeup for the day. My first thing that I always put on my face in the morning is vitamin C, and I use the Timeless brand here. I've just been using it for quite a while now, and I really truly love it. A tip about vitamin C though is keep it in a dark spot because it can go bad. Rather, it can go bad if it's out in the open. So, just put a little bit on. I store mine in my little mini fridge that I just love. It keeps my products fresh and, um, for longevity, it's great. And I just apply this all over my face every morning. And you can also, put it on your neck and chest area. Yeah, it's just a great way to start your morning with some vitamin C. And then I go in with the Timeless Coenzyme Q10 serum. This is just a real great, it has so many benefit properties in it. There's a hyaluronic acid. Yeah, there's benefits in there that create electricity and collagen, and it's just really nice for the face. It has a Matrix 3000 in there, so it's supposed to reverse time, but it has. I really enjoyed it, and it's a nice serum. It goes on really nice and smooth and dries down quickly, but it does have a color to it or a shade, so don't be frightened by that. It's fine. And then I always go in with a moisturizer, and I actually use the CeraVe PM morning and night. I just love, how it feels on my skin. It just gets it nice and prepared for the day. Um, it has so many benefit properties in this as well. And moisturizes throughout the day, and it just creates a barrier from all the bad elements in our world here. So I always put that on, and I do put that on my neck and chest as well. Um, so just every morning, that's what I do, and that's a nice tip. And always a very good tip is to always use a sunscreen. Right now, I'm just using the Neutrogena Hydro Boost. It does. The one thing I do love about wearing a sunscreen is it does provide a nice glow to my face. Okay, and then the next thing that I do, and this is not every day, but a few times a week, is I do exfoliate my lips. You can buy these on Amazon, or you can just buy like an exfoliator, that does apply just directly on your lip. Just some kind of exfoliator. It just keeps your lips nice and smooth. And then I usually put on some kind of like lip balm. It does also prepare your lips, for when you apply your lipstick. Okay, so now that I've applied all of my products in the morning, I am ready to start my routine of getting on all my makeup. And I usually start with my eyes first. I've said that many times. But before I start my eyebrows, I do like to take a Q-tip and just try to get out all that extra product that might be in there. I just find that some of that does not, the products do not play well with the products I use for my eyebrows. So just a little tip just to take off all that extra stuff that's in your eyebrow. I do use the Benefit Gimme Brow, and it's nice because it does have like a very thin application here, and it does have a spoolie on the other side. Also, just a little tip, I always try to clean my spoolie, each time, because if there's always extra product when you go to brush away, it does spread all over the place. But the reason why I do my eyebrows first is um, I just feel like I said, sometimes you'll have a spoolie and it gets all up in your makeup, and then that's just a whole other, problems here. But there are flaws of mess up. So the best tip I have on this, and a lot of um, influencers do this as well, and that's how I've learned. But I feel like the best product and the easiest for me, and this is all, you guys will find what's easiest for you. These are just tips and suggestions, maybe to try it, see if it works. Let me know if it works, or if you guys have something. I would like to know your tips as well, because we're always looking for something easier and better, right? So I use the ColourPop in a stick foundation. Any stick foundation, I'm sure, would be fine. And then I use a lip brush, and I use like about 2 shades lighter than my skin. And what I do is I just go in and I clean up where I don't like. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And then I just go in and I tap it in to soften that and to mesh it in with my skin. I'm always trying to find that sweet spot for my eyebrows. So it's always a work in progress. Okay, so now we're going to move into shadows and brushes. So my first tip on brushes, and that is to try to keep them as clean as possible. I know it's probably the one thing that everybody does not like doing is cleaning their brushes. I try to do it at least once a week. I try to focus my Sunday on my deep skincare routines and cleaning my brushes. So I'm going to give you a little tip to keep your brushes from not becoming all discombobulated and looking crazy. So I'm just going to show you really quick. I have washed a few of my brushes, and I have bought this pack, and it comes with, I don't even know how many of these little sleeves through Amazon, and they're so nice. Like, after you wash them, you just put it on and they dry to their natural form. I mean, you might still get a few flyaways, but if you didn't use this, it would be really bad. So, yeah, it's just like a sleeve that goes in, and I just kind of pinch the top and let them dry just like that. Yeah, so it's just a solid cleanser that I bought on Amazon that looks like this. And you just wet your brush and you take it and swirl it around like that, and see how it's all coming off. And I just take it and cleanse or rinse it again. Now, of course, I'd be doing this in a sink, but I'm down in my little area here. But we always make it work. And yeah, so you just rinse it off, and then it looks like this. And you put it in your sleeve just like that. And I just put it in my little cups that I have, and it dries within hours. So yeah, just a little tip. And these are just wonderful, like I said, and it works even on this size of brush. As you will see, it just kind of, it's like a mesh. So it will go on, and once that's clean, see? So yeah, these are great. It was the best, probably one of the best things I ever bought on Amazon when it comes to trying to keep things simple and clean. Okay, so now we are going to move into doing some eyeshadow. I'm going to keep the look very simple today. I just want to go, get through all these tricks for you. Um, my first suggestion is always use a primer, any kind of eye primer. It does help with your eyeshadows stay a lot longer and helps from creasing. I suggest not use foundation or a concealer. It has oils in it, and your eyelids produce oils, so you're just creating more oils. So I just feel like a primer is way better for eyeshadows. And I'm just using here the CoverGirl. Okay, lids are all primed. There is a little slight tackiness to it. All primers are different. Some do have a tackiness to them, some don't, do not. So it's just something you'll have to play around with and know how the product works for you. And today I'm just going to use the Nudes of New York by Maybelline. And what I do is I usually go in with a more fluffy brush, find whatever color you're going to start with. is just load up your brush. And I usually load it up, on all sides. And I hold my brush down lower. If you go in like this, it's going to be harder. If you hold it, down lower, it's going to be lighter. In which I suggest you go in lighter in the beginning because you can always build up color. It's harder to take it away. And I go in like this because I do have hooded eyes. And I'm just doing a windshield wipe motion here. Like I said, you can go in a little harder after you lay down that first initial product, because if you go in hard, some shadows and primers, the way they work, they'll start like grabbing and sticking and skipping, and it becomes very frustrating. So if you go in with light hand and put some product down and just lay it down nicely, there's like a little base for it to glide easier. So then another tip too is you go hold your brush even further down, kind of tilt your head up, and I'm trying to push the product now up, and I'm moving it more towards my brow bone. And this will create like a nice blending faded effect. So that, yeah, at that point you can decide if you want to put more in your inner corner or the outer corner here. And when I do switch brushes. I go to a smaller brush. When you go in with your transition shade, you probably want a more fluffy brush. And then when you want more precise detail, you go in with smaller brushes. So I'm just going to go in with just a little bit of a deeper shade just to add a little bit of dimension here. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this pretty simple. Yeah, that's all we got. And that's probably as much as I'm going to do today with the eye, other than I want to show you how some shimmers work. For shimmers, usually I either use like this kind of small flat brush, or I just use my finger. And I'll show you two different things that happen with shimmers. So now if I go in with this brush, I'm just going to take a little bit of shimmer, and I'm going to place that on my lid. And as you can see, it did a pretty decent job. It's nice like on days that you don't want a lot. So that's what happens when you just use a little brush. Now another trick you can do is wet your brush. And what that does is just makes the product stick a little bit better. So now I'm going to go in with the wet brush, and you'll see that it comes just, creates a more bold look. And like I said, you could always use your finger too, but I just wanted to show you the difference between wetting your brush and a dry brush. Now some shimmers, you could just go in and they're just so vibrant that you don't need to wet them or anything like that. Okay, and let's say that you did add a little bit too much. Remember my eraser brush that I love so much? And this is the Morphe M524. And what I do is I usually go into a very light shade, and I'll mix it with the transition shade that I used in the beginning. So I just got very, very little color in there. And I just go around the edges, and it always just softens the look for me if I've made it too much, or just to create a softer look. Also, another tip is to really try to have one of these color changers, because boy, they come in handy. Because let's say you only have a certain amount of brushes, but you like how this one performs and you want to change it up the color. All you got to do that. There still will look like there's product on there, but there is not. Once you do this, there's nothing coming off. And then if you do have a lot of pores, of course, there is always the e.l.f. putty. You just put this on wherever you have a lot of pores or oil. And I used like this little poof thing. I got it on Amazon, or you can just put it on, on your fingers, rub it up, get it like a warm consistency, and just put it, where you do have pores. So either one would work fine. Today I'm going to use the most matte foundation I own, just to show you a few tricks on that. So I'm going to be using the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue. This is in shade 113 Light. So yeah, this is a pretty matte foundation, for me especially. So when I use a matte foundation, I love this Hard Candy. It's a hydrating primer, but it does give a nice grip. So it has a lot of benefits for priming your skin. And I said it before, and I'll say it again, it's a dupe for the milk. So yeah, it's I just put that all over and it still gives a nice glow. I want to show you just these few extra steps that could help with um, not making, because when I use this on its own, I don't like this foundation on me because it is too drying. So I'm going to put it on my palette, and from what I remember, I'm just going to start with one pump because I think it goes a long way. And that is the shade here. And then my other tip for anyone who has too light or dark of a foundation, there's ways to change that. I own two color adjusters. I own from e.l.f. It looks like this, and it comes out this shade here and this shade here. So this is going to darken any of my foundations that are too light. And then I also own from LA Girl. This one is a white cast, so it will, I put that in my foundations that are too dark. So, okay, this is, let's try this. I haven't used this in a while. Let's see how it matches my skin. You know what? I don't think I have to really add anything to it. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little trick that I do quite often, and not a lot on my videos. It's just little tricks that I do, especially like if I'm going somewhere or when I have the extra time. So I'm letting this just sit here for a minute. And I also actually was so weird. I saw it on TikTok the other day. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have done that for a long time and it does work. So, like for you guys, what I normally do is I usually take my foundation brush and I spray it. But today I'm going to show you what I actually like to do too. I'm going to use my ColourPop Pretty Fresh spray. And I'm actually going to spray my whole face. And also my brush a little bit. And now I'm just going to start moving this product around. And it just helps it because it's a pretty thick matte formula. And it just helps it go on my skin a lot easier. Okay, once that is all set down, I do take a dampened sponge. You would not believe how many people don't realize that you're supposed to wet these, but I wet mine and I wring it out in a towel. Like as you can see, nothing's coming out of it. So it's pretty just slightly damp. And then I go out and I go in and I'm just kind of mushing this more into my skin with the sponge. So I do like using both. I feel like I'm not wasting product when I put it on my brush because it does put more of the product down, where the sponge, see how it's already soaking it up. So if you go in directly with a sponge, I feel like you're just wasting a lot of product. Okay, so we got that all pretty much blended in. I'm going to move into my concealer, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen my trick, or I don't even know if it's a hack, but it's a trick, and that you'll see that does change my eye shape a little bit. So I just put this brightening, the e.l.f. Brightening Flawless Concealer here. It leaves like a nice glow. So that's why I like it just here in my inner corner. And then I take I'm just going to use the Clinique. And I used lighter shades, about a shade lighter than what I used for my foundation. And I do it more like a upward motion. And then I take it here and I just put just a dot on each side here. So I'm not using a lot of concealer. And you can also put it here. You can put it here to create a more lifting effect here. So wherever you want to put it, you can put it to lift it. But I usually just do it around my eyes, whatever works best for you. And see how it kind of lifted that already? And I'm going to go in here, and I like to go beneath. I'm not even in this part yet. I'm just going under, and then I go in there when I have less product on my brush. And the reason why I don't like going in this area with the product, a lot of product, is it will crease on me. Then you can take your finger, and with the warmth of your finger, just kind of sit there and it will kind of melt that into your skin. Okay, and then right away, I want to take a brush and set that under there before the creasing starts. So I just put on a little bit on my brush, tap off a lot of the excess, and I just push it in and wipe off my hand, take off any extra. Now with this foundation, you can either not set it or set it. And I'm going to set it today because I've used a lot of moisturizing products with this. So if I wouldn't have, this would have been completely dried down to almost a powder finish. But because I used this, I have, like all the hydrating products, there is still like a little bit of wetness to it. So I do have to set it down. And I'm going to use my Color Fresh, you guys. This is the best for blurring. And I usually use it just right here. I mean, you can use it all just where I have my pores. And now I'm going to use the e.l.f. Halo Glowing Powder. Okay, so I tapped off the excess. And I'm just going to go in lightly. So then you can always go into a little tip and take your dampened sponge and kind of soak that really good into your skin. My only tip on contour is basically shade and placement. You want to place it on places where you're trying to hide. So I've been using this Kokie powder contour, and there's like 3 shades here. And I'm finding the shade that works best for me is the one here in the middle. And I'm just going to load up my brush here. And I'm wanting to go pretty much about right here, except, I want to create a cheekbone here. So I'm just putting on a little bit, and I'm pretty much just dabbing it in. How it's created that little shadow. And then you can just kind of move it up very lightly because I don't want to disturb anything. And I put it a little bit under my chin to take away my little double chin. All right, then I take a big fluffy brush and just kind of blend that even more. And I want it to go up. I don't want it to go down. And then also take your sponge that you have the foundation on and just kind of go around those edges to soften it. Blush, I'm just going to use this Essence blush. And I like to use this stipple brush. See how the bristles are kind of really sparse like that. And then what I like to do is kind of look down, and I put it to want to kind of lift this up. Okay, now I'm going to move back into my eye, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I do sometimes too, is I take my eye primer and a little brush, and I put that on here. And I just go under where I'm going to put the eyeshadow. And that will just help that part stay on longer as well. Now I'm going to go in with the shade I used on my outer corner. If you feel like you put too much there, you can always take a fluffy brush and just kind of bend the bristles forward like that. Just to blend that out. Okay, and this is where I would set my face, and I do that because I don't want to disturb my mascara or anything. I'm going to do either falsies or anything like that. So I spray now. Sometimes with spraying and you go to close your eyes if you have mascara on, it transfers onto the bottom. So that's why I like putting on my setting spray now. And like I said, because this is a matte foundation, I'm actually going to go in with my Catrice. And this is a more dewy finish. And you could always use matte, if you do like a matte foundation. Another tip is to buy one of these fans. It will dry a lot faster. Okay, so today I am going to put on falsies for you just to give you some tips on that. I suggest getting the Demi Wispies, and they look like this. My first tip for you is to make sure that they fit your eye. So just place them on. and see if you're going to need to trim, which I do not. That's why I love these Demi Wispies. I rarely have to trim these. And if you do have to trim, if you could see here, I showed that the last video, but if you didn't see that last video, there's short lashes here and then the longer. If you got to cut from this side here with the longer lashes. There is a glue, but it's a liner glue, and it's by Kiss, and it looks like this. It looks like just a normal liner, and that's why I didn't line my eyes yet. And just shake it up. And the great thing about this is that you do not have to wait for the glue to dry. You're going to want to go in right away. But with this Kiss liner glue, you're going to want to be generous at the inner and outer corner. Yeah, don't be skimpy because they will lift. And then I even, with my lash, I even put a little bit on there. Yeah, then you go in without even having to wait. Okay, so I just put it, and I put it in the center first. Then I take this outer corner and put it as close to my lash line as possible. And then the same with the inner corner. And then I go and I press it just to make those all blend together. And that's what it looks like. Here, if you wanted to even curl them or add mascara, you can do that. And I'll show you that it's possible. You just go in and curl them just a little bit. And yeah, and I really don't think I need mascara. Now, if you do it this way, you're going to have to clean your falsies if you want to reuse them. Yeah, the way I clean mine, I just take them off, take a Q-tip with some rubbing alcohol on them, and I just, wipe away all of the product that's on my lashes, and that seems to do the trick just fine. And then I just put them back in the package, and next time I use them, they're all clean and ready to go. So yeah, if you wanted to add mascara at this point, that is fine. I'm not going to add a lot. I'm going to line my lip, and I'm going to show you the trick on this. Okay, and I'm going to do it oopsie on purpose. Okay, so let's say I went out of my line. Okay, and you remember this here, the foundation stick? You just take a lip brush. So I have two, one for my eyebrows and one for my lips. And you just cover that up instead of going and swiping it all across your face. Last couple tips here is, let's say, I have this little, obviously I didn't pull it up right, and I wanted to cover that up. Just go buy some of this spray here by L'Oreal, or any spray that has a shade to it or a color, and I just kind of covered that up. And it will transfer to your hand, but that's okay. I want to put it through anyway. So that's just a tip. If you have like a little spot that's bald, or you pulled your hair back too tight and you want to cover that seam, that's what you do. But my last tip is, I've had my hair in this scrunchie since last night. It is now 5:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, I was being a little lazy today. But I wanted to show you. So all night in this silk scrunchie, and I swear I haven't done anything to my hair today except be in this all night and today. So I take it out of the scrunchie, and you can see I would probably need to do a few curls here, but for the most part, I still have my volume. I still have some curl, so I would be able to, I think, go out of the house and not be totally embarrassed. And I will say also too, this stuff I got at Target. It's called Kristiness. It's a dry finish working texture spray. Even if you just put a little bit, like that, at your roots here, this will help too. It's such a great, I absolutely love this product. this has really changed my life. I seen somebody or heard about it to, try it because I'm like, oh my gosh, I always wake up, my hair is a rat's nest and unmanageable, and I can't do anything with it except pull it in a ponytail and or rewash it. So this is really that tip has really helped me. Okay, you guys, that's it for my bag of tricks of little tips that I can give to you. If you guys have anything that has worked for you or heard about and would like to share that with everybody, please put it in the comments below. I love to learn about new tips or tricks as well. So, yeah, let's all come together and figure out new ways to make our lives easier. Okay, you guys, until next time.